Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Nvidia finally has given us a date where they're going to talk about GeForce, and GeForce means gaming GPUs, and that's going to mean the RTX 4000. We're going to talk about exactly when this date is going to be and what they're likely to announce and what it means for Nvidia's master plan for this fall. If you have just bought a GPU or you're looking to get something new, this information is actually going to be extremely valuable because not only are we going to find out about the RTX 4000, we're also going to see Nvidia's plan with all of their other GPUs. I don't think they're going to make them end of life just yet. Nvidia, from some of their strategy talks and from when, their earnings and things like that, Nvidia has said in their earnings report that they're going to reduce the amount of GPUs in the sell-in that they're selling to the third-party AIB partners, and that just basically means less GPUs out on the street because, after all, their inventory issues are pretty legendary now for the last few months, and not in a good way. They've had way too many GPUs, and they've had to cut the prices a significant amount. According to them, let's see what they've been doing. They've been positioning their RTX 3000 for the release of RTX 4000. That means we think there's a good chance they plan to sell them alongside the new generation. After all, they have really a lot of stock of especially the high-end GPUs, such as the 3090 Ti all the way down to the 3080. They've had a lot of stock, so it would make sense that they try to, elongate a little bit the lifespan of these GPUs. Just because there's a new version coming out, a new series in the RTX 4000, doesn't mean these are going to become absolutely invalidated. Now, the date that Nvidia plans to announce what we think will be the RTX 4000, that's going to be at the GTC conference September 20th. So we're very, very close. That's only in a little bit over a week. There, we're going to be bound to see a lot of different AI and different things that Nvidia generally likes to talk about, but they've announced a special segment for GeForce, which is their gaming brand, pretty much one of their most important segments of the entire company. Now, GeForce is going to have to mean RTX 4000. I think that we're going to at least see the RTX 4090. We don't know yet about anything below, let's say, a 4060 Ti and below. I think based on the amount of RTX 3000 GPUs they still have to sell, we're probably not going to see anything below a 4070 for quite some time. Think about it this way. Take a 3090 Ti, very powerful GPU now. It's the most powerful GPU, but introduce the next generation, and right now it's not really going to be that powerful with the 4090 right next to it. That means that every single GPU that is high-end now is going to have to go down a few tiers basically in order to match whatever comes out that's new. So that means a 3090 Ti may be like a 4070 level, or maybe close to a 4080 or thereabouts, and a 4060 Ti would be pretty fast. It might be as fast as a current 3080 or something like that, which of course would be very, very impressive. And if that were the case, people wouldn't want to buy an RTX 3080. If there's a 4060 or 4060 Ti that's close in performance for much less money, everybody of course is going to want to go for the newer GPU. So that's why, in a weird way, RTX 3000, like the mid-range and high-end GPUs now, are going to sort of slot into RTX 4000 and become sort of, the base support for that GPU class at the lower and mid-range levels. That means that you may go to a store, your friend may get a 4090 if he wants to spend the most amount of money and get the absolute fastest GPU, but maybe you want a mid-range GPU. Maybe there's not a 4060 yet for, a more introductory price. So what do? If there's no 4060 or even 4070, you're going to have to look at something like a much cheaper, maybe a 3080 or 3070 Ti. That's going to be the GPU that's going to get you there right in the middle. The difference is the pricing we're expecting is going to be much cheaper than it was at MSRP and that we've experienced before. Therefore, even though it's older technology, then it's going to make a little bit more sense. Nobody wants to buy a 3070 Ti when there's, a 4080 around or 4090, unless that 3070 Ti is pretty heavily discounted. Instead of being $599 when it came out, if it's in the $400 range or similar to what you would pay for like a 4060, maybe it makes a little bit more sense. That looks like Nvidia's strategy strategy, sort of mixing the RTX 4000 with the 3000. Now, this is a little different than they've done before for major GPU releases, but there certainly are some precedents and times that they've brought back an older generation, or at least kept it longer. Remember last year with RTX 3000 selling out, they brought back the 2060. We saw the 2060 after it hadn't been produced for a while come back and be sold alongside the RTX 3000. So you can view that the same way. The RTX 3000 has even more reason to be sold alongside RTX 4000 because Nvidia made so many of them and the GPU market dropped off the face of a cliff, and they have to do something with that excess inventory. They're going to start making maybe different versions of 3060s, 3060 Ti's, maybe even with different VRAM allocations. There have been some news of that as well, just so they can sort of go through all of these older chips that are, still in their inventory, but they still need to sell to gamers at some type of tier level. But at least at the GTC conference, I think we're going to see the RTX 4090. They may announce a 4080 as well, but not release it right away. I think we're going to see perhaps an October to November release date. There really is no pressure yet from Intel or AMD to keep Nvidia on its toes. In fact, most of the competition Nvidia is facing is really from internally, from their own RTX 3000. We talked about how the 3090 Ti dropped to around $1,100. Even a 3080 Ti, some people bought for in the $700 range. Now, these are older GPUs by now, but these prices, people are actually buying them. You would think that with RTX 4000 about to be announced, people would not want to buy these at all, but from various people commenting on my videos, and you can read on Reddit and different places, people are certainly still buying GPUs, and it's mostly, a lot of gamers now, they want to sort of get what was really expensive or hard to get before, and the prices at least look better now than before. That's going to be a pretty big theme and a little bit different than we're used to. We're used to maybe a new GPU release and you forget about last generation. Of course, aside from the people that still want to buy it for cheap on the used market or something like that, but it's a little bit rarer to see the current generation overlap so heavily with the new generation. But nowadays it makes sense with the GPU market changing so rapidly, economy's not doing too great, and you have a lot of these GPUs with, supply chain issues. It makes sense that Nvidia wants to announce and release something for the RTX 4000. That way they can keep their investors happy and they can keep their competitors on their toes. At least they can say, oh, look at this 4090. It performs at this level. Intel and AMD may not be able to quite reach it, or they may be able to get close, but at least Nvidia is going to announce the most powerful GPU. And then little by little, they can release different versions of this powerful GPU, like later on a 4090 Ti, in order to combat whatever AMD may have. They might surprise them. The 6900 XT, while it didn't beat Nvidia completely, it definitely surprised them, and a lot of people were very happy with that GPU because it provided 3090 levels of performance in most cases, aside from like ray tracing, for what often was a lot cheaper. Of course, the drivers did get better. AMD's technology is getting better, and we could see that mature much more with the next generation RDNA 3. That's why Nvidia has to release something impressive, or else they're going to start getting real competition that they're not really used to, aside from their own GPUs. So if you're in the GPU market now, what do you do? If you're a little bit confused, I would say continue to wait unless you really need a GPU, or you see just an amazing deal on the secondhand market, or some store like Micro Center has an open box 3080 Ti for a significant discount. It may not be a terrible idea. I mean, these GPUs are going to slowly come out for the RTX 4000. There may be other issues in the future. So at this point, you're not buying these GPUs at their extremely inflated prices anymore like they were on the scalper market. They're much more discounted now, so you're not going to be doing terribly, but just remember you're going to be getting an older generation GPU, but it's going to be quite a while before the other RTX 4000 GPUs eventually make it to the shelves like RTX 3000. Unless you want an RTX 4090, maybe a 4080, you're going to be waiting quite a long time. And of course, it's not only the benefits of getting that new GPU that some people look forward to. Even if the 4090 comes out, you don't have to necessarily get that to have a big benefit. The 3000 series will probably go down even more in price when that is released, especially on the secondhand market. So you may be able to catch somebody who wants to sell their 3090 or 3090 Ti to upgrade to the 4090. You may be able to get a fantastic deal on that, which even though it's not going to be faster or as close to being as fast as a 4090, you're still getting one of the best best GPUs that are going to be available for what we would expect to be a significant price discount. At the end of the day, price to performance does matter as well. It's not only the most expensive thing, irregardless of price. So you have to keep that in mind. RTX 3000 is still a very powerful and modern GPU. Our problem with it was the availability, which now is a little better, and more importantly, the really high prices, which is getting better. It's not perfect yet. I mean, with the new GPU release coming out, a lot of prices are still high, but it certainly has trended in the right direction. And with the introduction of RTX 4000, maybe this September, as we think is going to happen on September 20th, I think we're going to see prices go down even more. Not necessarily retail. Nvidia wants to keep a certain level of pricing very stable. They don't want to keep dropping GPUs and devaluing their product. They would rather just produce less GPUs and make them more scarce and rare in the market, therefore making them seem like they're getting more in demand instead of lowering prices. That's a move many companies do. Even Intel has done it in the past with their processors. So we don't think we're going to see much lower retail prices. They rather just stop producing them. But that doesn't mean that on the secondhand market you can get some great deals as people sell to upgrade, and as the GPU market has its issues, and maybe there might be more GPUs on the used market entering pretty soon if people aren't doing crypto mining anymore as well. So that's definitely going to be something to watch. All right, guys, so are you excited for the announcement to see what RTX 4000 has in store for us? Is it going to be as expensive as RTX 3000? Is it going to be more? Is the performance going to be impressive? All questions that you should subscribe for. Stay tuned, and we're going to eventually answer. All right, guys, remember to smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.